Hello folks, this is an Ink Dependence video review of Organic Studios Jules Verne Nautilus Blue. I got this bottle at the DC Pen Show. It comes in a little box like this. Picture of good old Jules there. Jules Verne Nautilus Blue there on the side. It's part of the writing series. I've done a few of these other ones. I've also done Jane Austen, Edgar Allan Poe, and I've got Walt Whitman, although I don't think I've reviewed that one yet. But this one, it's the first blue that I've tried out of that set, and I really like blue inks. I've got a lot of those. This one didn't work out particularly well for me. It wasn't really what I expected. It does come in this little plastic bottle, like the rest of them. Not very much packaging on here. I'm perfectly fine with that. It's got the name and the picture of the thing. If you open up the bottle, so I can do this without spilling ink everywhere with one hand. Alright, cat-like reflexes. There we go. It's got a little paper liner on the top, of course. You can see where the ink is kind of dried around the top. It will do this a little bit around your nib if you leave it uncorked for a long time, or if you have a pen with a cap that's not very secure. I've tried it in a couple of things, and one of them had a little bit of crust, but not too bad. Nothing big. There's no sediment in the bottom or anything like that. This is nothing, not a big deal, just a little bit of dried up ink around the mouth of your bottle. So if you see that, don't freak out. You can kind of see through the bottle a little bit. Yeah, you can see there's no problems in there. This is a fine ink. It does have an odd smell though. When you open up the bottle, it smells a bit like I don't know, nuts and chemicals or something. It's kind of strange. It smells weird in the bottle, but once you get it in your pen, it's not super noticeable. Although it is definitely there, and it doesn't really seem to go away. It does, I guess, lessen a bit, but in my pens you can still smell the Jules Verne. Well, actually, I don't know if you can smell it now that I've changed inks. Let me see. This is kind of my de facto testing pen, really, my Franklin Christoph 27. Nope, doesn't smell anymore. I've got a different ink in there now, which I'll talk about sometime later. But also it's got a sea theme, which is kind of fun. I put the Jonathan Swift seaweed green in there. Anyway, we'll talk about that one later. So, Organic Studios Jules Verne. This is on an Anderson Pens proper pad. I picked up several of these at the DC Pen Show. They're good paper. They don't tend to bleed through very much. You can see this one did bleed a little bit. You got some ghosting on the back, some few dots, and of course you got a little bit of bleed there where I did a little swatch. This paper is pretty darn resistant to ink, so one of the things about this Jules Verne is that it does tend to bleed a bit. It bleeds well through basically Office Depot like pads, you know, the cheap stuff that you get for office work and whatnot. Nothing real bad here really. This seems fine. I mean, you could probably use both sides of this if you had to, but I tried it in 3 different nibs. I've got it in a fine nib, in a medium nib, and in an extra fine nib. And you can tell with that extra fine nib that it actually did spread a bit. You can see a fair amount of spread. The medium nib did spread quite a lot. Kind of more than I'm comfortable with. I wouldn't want to write with that on a regular basis. The fine nib was okay. It was fine. So, the flow is a little bit dry, but kind of medium dry-ish. It's fine. Let's see, which one of these? Yeah, as I said, this is kind of my least favorite of these writers series. I'm just not wild about the color and performance. It's too light. I mean, I was expecting something darker, I guess. I mean, I suppose this is kind of true, kind of close, but it's got that dusky feel on the ink that you'll get from Noodler's Luxury Blue or even more Upper Ganges Blue, which I dig, but this one's just too light, I think. It's too light, it spreads a bit, it bleeds a little bit. I thought I wasn't going to like it in the extra fine nib, but it turns out I might actually like it the best there. It didn't spread much, you didn't get any bleed through. See, the medium's just kind of too thick and bloppy, and I'm not a big fan. And that is a good nib, but just not a big fan of this ink in there. Yeah, the smell, yada yada. Let's see how it compares. I did that one on proper pads. I have a little Rhodia pad that I got at a college bookstore, actually, which is kind of cool. I got that one pretty cheap at a college bookstore. So, anyway, this is a little tiny pad. You can see the size there. You can see how Jules Verne stacks up next to some of the other blues I have sitting around. And these might not be blues that you're particularly familiar with because, I mean, Walberry is new, and you really have to get it with one of their the new Wall Eversharp pens. Mont Blanc, Henri de Balzac, is kind of a bright blue, and it's a little dark in here. Maybe you can't really tell. Mysterious blue, of course, if you haven't used that pen in a while, it'll turn up almost black and then kind of fade to green, as you can see there a little bit. And then luxury blue, which is kind of a darker, dusky blue. So let's see what this does underwater, or under a water test. I'll grab my trusty syringe. There we go. Alright, looks like it's actually doing pretty good. I don't know if this is supposed to have any water-resistant qualities. This is Jules Verne, is a Nautilus blue, so it should, it sounds like it ought to be water-friendly. And it seems like it did okay, actually. There's a little bit of blue that comes loose, but I only wrote this, I think I wrote this down yesterday, maybe the day before yesterday. And, yeah, no problems on this Rhodia stuff. Looks like the paper was starting to fuzz up a little bit, but the ink stayed around, so that's pretty cool. This ink that I think is kind of weak sauce looking actually is a bit water resistant, so that's cool. Alright, so there you go. That's Jules Verne from the Organic Studios Writers Series. See you later.